If everyone is settled, then I'm going to go ahead and get started. Um, so we weren't able to get our official speaker, Eileen Venice Vega, for today. She wasn't able to make it. So unfortunately, you won't be hearing from her today, but we do have a recording of her that we will be sending to you guys. We'll be releasing it soon. So don't worry about that. Instead, for today, we're going to have one of our very own staff members, Terra Lee, speak a bit to you about life after Tech Trek. So Tara, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. This is a very special occasion, so only Camp 2 will be seeing this presentation. But this is definitely something that has been a huge part of my life, so I'm just so willing to share that with you guys. A couple of disclaimers is that this is just one story out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of alumni of Tech Trek. So if your story maybe has a little bit of cooler parts than mine, or if you feel discouraged anyway, no need, because this is just one story that I think we can just all maybe listen to, and I would love to share with this huge community. So just keeping that in mind. I can't see the chat right now, so Q&A will also proceed towards the end like we always did. But without further ado, I will get started for you guys. So here is Life After Tech Trek. So it's really nice to meet you guys. Right now, I am a rising senior. It's a little bit hard to think about because I swear I was a freshman not too long ago. I attended Tech Trek in 2017 at Whittier College, and it was a really, really interesting summer. The class that I specialized in was, back then it was called cybersecurity, so that was really interesting. I attend Valencia High School, and the book I'm reading or just finished is The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks.
I love that book.
Right? It's so interesting. I loved it. I really loved it. So I really recommend all of you guys to just go check that out in your free time. But that is a side note. Over here, this is just a picture of me with my own Tech Trek group, like you guys are in your breakout rooms. This is the residential camp, a little taste of it for you guys. And I still actually keep in contact with them today. I'm very close with them, so it just goes to show how close-knit Tech Trek really is and how beautiful it can really become. Yes, I was super excited. I felt very comfortable, so I tended to be very silly at times, but when it came to classes, I just really loved the entire the vibes of everything, and I just really enjoyed learning. So that's just me and my natural habitat. So hyper
I
excited.
have to ask, is that you on the right?
It is me on the right. So that is me around your guys' age. So this is actually exactly 4 years ago. So
And you can tell how excited she is in the picture.
yes. So I hope you guys, even though it's not in the same format, as the week continues on, let's continue to keep that same excitedness about what we do here. So I will continue on to this slide. So a lot of what I'll be talking about is passion. And so it's a huge word that a lot of people might misunderstand what exactly means, or maybe they're afraid of because they think they don't exactly have it yet. But I'll be able to just talk with that with you guys all here and just make sure that you guys all understand. So the magical touch after the cadaver lab. A little bit of context. So if you went to the Whittier camp or all the alumni here who are existing as volunteers, we had the cadaver lab there. So it was really, really interesting. And I remember that it shook me to my core where I realized that day I truly, truly wanted to go into medicine. So a lot of the things you guys see here is my passion for, excuse me, for going to the medical studies and making sure that, I just keep up that love of mine. So here are some things that were the next immediate steps that I had after attending Tech Trek. So it was really cool because when I came in the first day of school, I was sitting down and everyone went around the room asking, what did you do during the summer? And everyone said, oh, like I went to the beach, I went on this boat ride, and I thought those were all cool activities. But at that point, I wasn't really quite good with my words either. So I just said, oh yeah, I kind of helped dissect this dead grandmother at a cadaver lab. And they're like, what? That that's an interesting summer. And so I feel really grateful to be even able to say that sentence because of Tech Trek. So
And Tara, just really quickly, I'm so sorry for interrupting. Do you want to kind of tell us a bit about what you did in the cadaver labs, like
yeah,
specifically?
So that was the next step from there. So because I was able to share that sentence, a lot of the things that really covered in that experience behind that sentence was phenomenal. We were able to see over 100-year-old babies in jars. Some had an issue with their brain development. We were also able to have a reproductive system like table, and we also had a nervous system table. So we were really able to touch each individual organ, and it was funny because like the smell also really got to a lot of us. The smell of formaldehyde, it really isn't the best smell that you can really have, but now, as I will elaborate later, it's a smell of really nostalgia that I have now because of this exam and this lab. So it was really cool. But after the cadaver lab, I really was motivated because I was never really encouraged throughout elementary school to really stand up for maybe the passions or the career choices I wanted to have. So I was able to take that confidence, that newfound confidence I had after Tech Trek, to pursue things like Science Olympiad. And you guys may have heard of this. If you have also heard of HOSA, future health professionals, they also have their middle school program. So a little bit of a description of both. We were able to win 6th place overall for our team, an 8th place disease detectives event, and for my fellow Valencia High School students here, you guys may also remember that memory, so that's really cool. Here are also the different individual competition events that I participated in. So that was really fun, and it was just blowing me away because I never really had a passion before like this. So to the right, that's me again in 8th grade. That's at Science Olympiad, and to the right of that picture, that is at 5:30 in the morning getting ready for HOSA. So this is my high school adventures right now, and in that picture, I'm going to actually start with that picture because it's something that I really hold closely to my heart. But this was the last time I was able to go to residential camp for Tech Trek, and so in 2019, I went back as a JC counselor. And as many of you guys here are campers, it is a lot more of a different experience when you go back as part of the staff and being part of leadership. There are different levels of stress, different thrills of exhilaration you have. We were probably up till 3 a.m. trying to edit a Tech Trick video for you guys, nodding off in one of the rooms. But all in all, it was such a great community, and a few of you guys actually are in this photo, so happy to shout you guys out on there. But despite, even though the challenges we might have seen, and it was, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like super smooth because there are always going to be obstacles, etc. But that week as a JC counselor, it really taught me how to overcome these obstacles and just continue to go with the flow. So the next few activities are the things that I was able to participate in because I was just so in awe of that. I was able to enjoy science a lot more, and all in all, through this, I was actually able to contact and keep in touch with the Tech Trick branch that I have been with. And so I'm actually in touch with her right now, and it's been about 4 years of emailing back and forth. And so they just become part of your family. So again, I was able to found my own organization called Women Medical Empowerment to continuously empower girls who have an interest in STEM, especially the medical field. I also was able to look into things like research, medical-based volunteering. I also helped out and collaborated with UCLA with some local blood drives and organized them as well at school. And the iconic book lovers luncheon that we had at Santa Clarita, I was able to meet so many great people there who loved books and science, technology, engineering, math. And so with that book lovers luncheon, I also had the honor of meeting Melanie Hicken. She is one of these CNN senior correspondents for journalism. So that was really cool as well. And most importantly, these STARS field trips. I'm not sure if this program is through every single branch here in California, but we were able to continue on our Tech Trek journey with the rest of the alumni. We went to a dentist, we went to JPL, and there were so many amazing fields that I didn't even really have that much interest in, such as astronomy. But thanks to even this camp and visiting JPL, it changed my mindset a lot to be more open-minded. So over the years, these are some photos that I have for you guys. This is me when I was at HOSA in Washington, D.C. We were able to lobby to our House of Representatives then, just talking about how they should continue to support organizations like HOSA and continuously get that funded by the California State of Education Department. That's me at JPL. I was really excited and I was really interested by the jar of peanuts tradition we had then. So that was really cool to see. In the main room where for the Mars mission was happening, I believe, back in 2012. This is me for the Medical Science Academy training for UNICEF. I was actually a freshman right here, and because I had a huge passion for continuing on our health theme for that month, we were able to teach CPR to everyone, and everyone just had a good time with that. And we did it to the beat of Baby Shark, because that is the BPM that we should be trying to strive for. Here is I believe the UCLA blood drive that we were able to do. And over the years that I've been doing so, we were able to collect over 200 plus blood units for all the patients who really needed those blood transfusions, and etc. So if you guys are able to donate blood, please find out those requirements, and I could probably answer that later in Q&A. And the following are really Tech Trek inspired as well. So in the bottom corner here, we were visiting our nearby community college makerspace. So with all of our alumni, we were making maybe wood name tags. We were looking at how we can do 3D printing with the amazing printers they had for us. We made a rocktopus, so it was a little mini octopus that was just giving the rocker sign. So that was really cool. And here this picture is of women medical empowerment. This was at a lunch for fundraising money for the Wish Foundation when the unfortunate Saga shooting actually happened in our community. So we were trying to fundraise money during that lunch, and we were able to collect almost $100 just to donate. And here is me talking to Melanie Hicken and one of our staff members at AAUW, and that was really cool because we were talking about writing together, which is one of my biggest passions. And here is the Women Medical Empowerment logo. So this is a discussion question that I'll just see in the chat, or if anyone wants to just quickly raise their hand for maybe one or two people. But is the discussion around labels improving? And now I know that this question is really sudden after this whole talk about high school experience and chasing my passion, but it'll make sense in a bit, I promise. So in the chat, or if you guys can raise your hand, is the discussion around labels improving? And labels, this means it could mean anything to you, whether you're part of a certain community or if you identify with a certain gender and things like that.
I see Kaylee has her hand up. Go ahead, Kaylee.
So personally, I think in my point of view, so I'm not part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I know a lot of people who are, especially some of my very close friends. And over 2020, a lot of bad things have happened, but a lot of good things have happened as well. Gender equality has been improving, and also, Lives Matter and a lot of other things surrounding equality and labels are definitely improving. There are some people who will never change, but over 2020, I've seen a lot of people standing up for their own rights. And so, yes, I think they're improving in a way, but I don't think they're fully improved yet.
Right. And it is quite a mixed answer, but I think we could take just one more person and then we can continue. But I love the discussion that's happening in the chat as well.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I am gender fluid, and I am also of many other, like, I guess you could say communities, and I have a lot of other labels and stuff. And though I think it is important that like the discussion is improving in that it's becoming more known and more people are recognizing them. However, for the people, for a lot of the time, what ends up happening is that much more conservative, I guess, minded people then begin to create more of a stigma towards that, as with a lot of things. Like once it becomes more known, then more people create opinions about it and can have both positive and negative opinions towards it. So.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing about the communities that you are a part of. And it's also many perspectives about this, because some people are saying there is too much discussion and too little action, or we still need to filter through some of the discussions that are happening and really set the truth for what it is. There are some people who are saying, what is a label? And a label is a certain term that defines who you are and that is supposed to apparently contribute or just define your whole self as an identity, but without the holistic view of it. Oh, awesome. Okay, sorry, I saw some questions in there. But in addition to that, some people said, there could be also labels around like physical labels, like food packaging, but I think here it's more towards the societal labels here. But I think that in addition to that labels, I'll be touching more upon the negative effects that could be happening. Again, this is just one perspective that I have, and this is just my story. But for the hardships that I dealt with, unfortunately, it did surround a lot of labels. And as anyone here, no matter how you identify or what you feel comfortable with, I'm sure you've had some sort of hardship with who you were, and it is a part of growing up altogether, but sometimes it does take a moment of reflection. So when I am asked to share my dreams, people worry that it's too specific of a label in itself. So a label of a job, is it too hard for me? There are a lot of people who took me aside when I told them what I wanted to do in my life, and they said, it's going to be too hard for you. I don't think you're stable enough to do that. And hearing that, it was a huge punch to the gut, because sometimes it's really hard to stay on track after something so hurtful said like that. And as much as you should be open-minded to people giving you criticism, you do not have to take it all up every single time, because you are attuned to your own opinions as well. A lot of burnouts because of those labels, because of the constant negativity that was happening around that. A lot of people, and believe it or not, they were like, it's going to be so hard for you. And I was like, why is it going to be so hard for me? And they said, because you're Asian and you're a female, because you want to go into STEM. It's shocking, because we still have to address that today. And unfortunately, there will continuously be conversations about this, because let's say, quote unquote, the discussion around labels is not improving. But I believe that with the burnouts and the Asian female pursuing STEM label, I think that what I was able to do was that having focus was an extremely hard thing to do, and it's something I'm still doing right now. But making sure that I'm always reminding myself of why I even wanted to share that dream in the first place is super, super crucial in order to continuously ignore those labels that people constantly try to put on you. And sometimes I made that mistake of putting a label on myself, because when Dr. Mimi was talking about it Monday for implicit biases, I also thought that putting a label on myself could solve some of the problems that I had that really surround around mental health. And this is definitely a heavier topic, so feel free if you need to disassociate just a little bit or turn away. But for mental health, it's really important to continuously have conversations about it, because I thought that if I try to seek help or try to find out a way how I can really, or what I'm dealing with or what I exactly have in that sense, then all my problems could just go away. But that's such a wrong misconception that so many people were growing up with, that, if you want to seek help for mental health, you'll be put a label. And, or if you want to get rid of your problems, you're going to be stuck a label of this. But I'm glad that in the chat, we are also discussing that, why is it so important to have these labels in the first place? Because the whole purpose of a label is just to have maybe like one answer or multiple definite answers. But, it's definitely something that people need to understand, where each person has their own journey. And so it looks a little bit different for each people. So there shouldn't really be one definite answer. But please do seek out help if you do need it, because it is as equally as important. So here are some current goals that I am working on right now, in addition to those hardships and trying to overcome them. Is that the dream that I shared that people thought, oh, it's a little bit far-fetched, was a pediatric neurologist. I love working with kids and I love studying the brain. So I thought, why not just become a brain doctor for kids? And so it really is a huge joy that I look forward to working towards. And yes, I acknowledge fully that it is a huge journey to go towards. But will I let the constant negativity stop me from chasing that dream or setting my goals high? No. So I'm continuously working towards that. And empowering girls in STEM, Tech Track really showed me that I was kind of missing that part of my life for the first 6 years of school. I really wish I was more involved with activities like that beforehand, but I'm here because I was given that same experience and that same epiphany that I should really strive to amplify all of our voices and to pursue the passions that we have. And so I'm currently working on that in women medical empowerment. One of the accomplishments we had with women medical empowerment was that we actually became a Tech Truck sponsor about 4 months ago. So any of you girls here from Santa Clarita Valley, you were actually able to help you guys get here. And we were so excited for you guys to be present, and seeing you guys say like, oh, I'm from Santa Clarita Valley branch, it made me super happy inside. And so we were able to raise enough money to even sponsor one full girl here. And we also were able to raise even more money from that to contribute to multiple girls to attend. So another goal is that I would love to serve the underrepresented children in our community and support my family. And I'm sure that many people also here would like to serve the same goals as me. So let's continuously work towards this as much as possible, and continue to have the voices that we have for continuously uplifting others. An example of this is that I was able to participate in a lot more other organizations that I really personally believe in, such as helping students with disabilities and therapy. So that was really cool as well. And most importantly, these last two is how I'm able to focus, again, that word, on these current goals despite many of these labels, many of these discussions happening, is to continuously educate myself and be forgiving of myself. It's okay not to know something, but it's not okay to continuously maybe make those same mistakes or beat yourself down for it too much. So make sure that even though maybe, let's say you made a mistake, just acknowledge it in that moment, and moving on is really important. And it took a long time for me to realize that, and striving. So no matter what stands in your way, I really hope that through empowering others, you're also able to empower yourself, just like how I was able to. And I am more at peace now with what I'm doing, who I'm with, and most importantly, serving you guys all here at Virtual Tech Trek. So that is actually the end of my presentation for you guys. And so think we can start the Q&A. It will be pretty open.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of
Tara, that was great. That was a great
amazing
conversation. I think it's a needed conversation. I think one of the things that we're trying to do here is to take a little bit of the emotion out of it, but you have to feel the passion, right? We have to get from you that you're excited about what you're working on, and that's going to make other people interested in your story. Labels are hard to get away from, but you do need labels for some things.
Right.
You need labels, and so we can't totally get rid of them. So how do we find that happy medium to help us make sure that we can help people? Because if we don't label students, let's talk about education just for a moment. If we don't label students as needing an individual education plan, right, then they may not get the help that they need in school to be able to perform at their optimum. So we really need to differentiate between labels that are going to help us and labels that other people are going to place on us just because they want. And is it really a label, or is it a stereotype? Is it something that they're, something that they're buying into? So we just need to, think about labels can be very beneficial, especially if you're doing research. Mm-hmm. If you're analyzing data, you need to be able to categorize things when you're doing studies so that you can then say, okay, I can't generalize across all groups, but I can generalize to this group. And you'll find that when you get into anybody that goes into research or goes into, studying science more deeply. Thank you. That was great. So now let's get questions.
Also, to clarify on that, a lot of what I talked about were labels that people use to limit other people. And so, of course, that's why I couldn't say absolutely not. It's not improving at all. No one, we don't need labels, like forget labels and things like that. I think definitely there are some aspects of that we still continuously need. The problem is that there has been such a societal pressure of twisting those labels into that's all you are, or right. That's all you're capable of. Right. So that even though you guys can actually use that to maybe your superpowers, or just continuously push your potential with that.
Yeah, we aren't even tapping into any of our total superpowers, quite frankly. None of us are.
Right. So if there are any questions, you guys can raise your hands, or I'll try to keep track of the chat as well.
Looks like Loti has a question.
In your presentation, you mentioned that you went to a cadaver lab. Did you really dissect a body, and how was the experience?
Yeah, so we all generalized it as dissecting, even though the body was cut open, the fluids were out, because we actually were able to I know you guys just had lunch, but we were able to actually, get into the body, take out the organs, and really pass them around. It sounds a little brutal, but we were able to really see, oh, this is the reason why this cadaver had 10 gallstones just hanging out in a jar over here that they found. And it's really interesting to see, because there isn't that whole process of taking out the fluids. The professionals there did that for us, the lab members, but in that sort of dissecting of really taking away and trying to see what issues they were having for health, that part was definitely the dissecting part, and I was fully blown away with how we were able to problem solve with that. But yes, there were no fluids. It was all dehydrated.
Sahara, go ahead.
Terra, this was amazing. I also want to go into medical field. I have a question. So do you know what college you're going to go into, and what are you going to major in? I know you said you wanted to be a pediatric neurologist, but what do you have to major in to do that?
Awesome. So I think starting off for colleges, I am still actually researching that into that right now. It is the slight calm before the storm before college applications open up, and trust me, there are so many graduates here from high school who could also maybe continuously answer questions after camp or maybe in breakout rooms when you guys are done with tasks about what that application literally looks like, because I'm about to step into that storm right now. But in terms of school, there's not like one given answer yet, because I would like to look more into places that I will genuinely be so ecstatic to go into instead of schools that I'm like, it's okay, like I don't want to go there, but I guess I'll apply. So I'm still looking into that. But for my major, I am looking into cognitive neuroscience. But if you want to become like a pediatric neurologist or any medical job, the beauty of it is there's no right or wrong answer for a major, as long as you're completing the prerequisites you have before you officially start your journey in pursuing medicine. There were a lot of, I believe, English majors that advised me about that as well, who ended up going to med school. So honestly, I would take college as a chance to explore your many passions and studies you want to go into.
Nice. Okay, we'll have Charity ask her question next.
I was wondering if when you're older and you want to come back here and like volunteer, how would you do that?
So that is the beauty of Tech Trek. I plan on continuing to volunteer until I cannot do it anymore for some reason. So when you're, I guess, like older, or if you're not going to be like maybe a senior counselor or junior counselor, you can actually come back as a dorm mom. You could maybe also continuously further your education down the line, and who knows, maybe we'll see you at one of the future camps as a guest speaker, an instructor. We can see you maybe even directing a camp. So there's a lot of different jobs here, and that's why we all need to give the staff a huge shout out, because they do so many things for us, whether it's residential, virtual, so
Woohoo!
a lot of things. I plan on being a dorm mom, so I'll come back for that.
Many years later.
That's many. I'll try to do that, maybe even when I'm in college.
All right, Zoe, ask your question. Oh, I think you're muted. Oh, now you're good.
I was wondering, my computer froze. You may have answered this question and I just didn't hear it, and so I'm sorry. But how old, like there was a picture of you at JPL, like how old were you when you did that, and like how did you get to go there?
Yeah, so I was 13. So that was actually when I was in 8th grade, and at our Santa Clarita Valley branch, we had the program STEM Stars. So one of the staff members there actually worked at Human Resources for JPL. So she was able to get us a special tour of going in, not only seeing like the center of the universe and things like that, but we were able to check out some pretty other cool things as well, and led us to that very room where like the Mars mission was going on in 2012. So I was pretty ecstatic, even though I wasn't looking into astronomy, but that's how it all really happened altogether.
All right, Keiko, go ahead. Oh,
Okay. So you were talking about labels and everything. And so I am Japanese, Chinese, and Black. And so you said how race plays a big, like, obviously one of the big things you talked about was the LGBTQ community, but how did race affect you when people thought of it, you going into a STEM career?
Yeah, so as mentioned in one of the slides, I believe, on hardship, there were so many times when I got so riled up and excited, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I love medicine and I want to go into this and I want to pursue this, and I just can't wait to go into that. Immediately, like maybe like not even like 30 seconds later, some people are like, yeah, but you're Asian, so it's gonna be hard. So I was like, oh, I guess. And then I guess without me knowing, I accepted that. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be so much harder for me, and I really don't like how that translated into, that victimization, right? Because I feel that even though there are some inevitable unfair things happening with the education system, being an Asian, there was also that sort of term of model minority, where let's say I wasn't the strongest in a subject like
All right, Samantha, go ahead.
Hi, so your presentation was absolutely amazing. My question was, what is the Women Medical Empowerment Organization really about?
Yeah, of course. So I actually have a website for you guys, and it is still under construction, but you guys can definitely take a good look at that. Let me see if I can get that up for you. But in the meantime, Women Medical Empowerment, the reason why I wanted to bring that to campus was that I'm a huge believer of hands-on activities. Hence why I'm here at Tech Trek. So Tech Trek really enhanced that idea of, like, instead of, there is that importance of foundational knowledge of textbooks and academic prowess, but what if we were able to apply that in real life settings? And so I thought that let's bring those opportunities to girls here at our school. And so regardless of maybe you don't even want to go into medicine, but you want to be part of the community, yeah, join us. And who knows, maybe your mind might change and things like that. So it's really to help girls who want to learn more about medicine and also support them in whatever they do, and just uplifting each other in this community. So a few of the things that we were able to do was that we were able to go partner with the Child and Family Center in our city, and we had a domestic violence educational workshop and public speaking event. We were able to learn and pinpoint the red flags that might happen during domestic violence. And I wish I could answer more questions about that, but that's not my field of study and I'm not really well known about it, but I'm willing to learn. So we went there and we were able to learn about that because we supported different medical awarenesses for each month. We did some virtual shadowing opportunities of different doctors online. So there was a lot of exploring, but most importantly, just keeping an open-minded.
Okay, Sydney, go ahead. Sydney, I just asked you to unmute, so you should be able to.
Okay. Hi. So I love your presentation. Also, I'm still kind of like shocked that you got to dissect a bunch of things. So what was the most gross part of that? And also, you honestly really, really, really dissect a dead grandma? Because that's just weird.
It does sound weird, but I promise you, when I looked at it, I asked, and I was just so interested. I was like, can I hold her hand? I know it's weird, but I was just so into that moment because it was nothing that I experienced before. But yes, we did indeed dissect a grandma. She was, I think, in her 70s. I forgot what she passed away from for her cause of death, but I think it might have been cancer, but I'll have to double check on that for you guys. But it was really cool. And the grossest part is that for me, I personally did not find anything super gross. More importantly, I think it was in this trance where, I don't know if it's formaldehyde, but I was kind of in this daze wow, I'm holding a dead fetus, or wow, I'm holding a brain. There's something ew, what is that? But I guess some parts that kind of freaked girls out was the nervous system. There was an actual eyeball, and yes, the eyelashes were still attached to it, and I think that may have been a little bit yeah, it was a little bit much for everyone, but I would say that was actually a little bit of the freaky part compared to like dissecting the grandma. So I didn't steal the body, okay? Like someone said that in the chat, and I just want to clarify that, okay?
All right, Sophia, go ahead and ask your question.
Do you have any advice for us, like as females and just like going into high school and beyond that?
Yeah, so once again, this is just from my perspective. You have over 100 girls here who can give you maybe the same advice as me or a little bit different. But for me, it's again that focus and passion. I want you to do what you love to do. And I know that there's a lot of more complexities around that. Like conversation like, oh, what if it doesn't really help me when it in terms of like my careers? What if it doesn't help me like be stable in life, or I feel like I have to give this up? I assure you that I think that in addition to those passions and that focus, understand that time is medicine and be patient. This is coming from one of the most impatient people probably here at camp, but I really had to learn because like the hard way sometimes, because there are times when I didn't have that focus, and I would listen to other people telling me that, you know, this is too hard for you, or I don't think you should do medicine, or you can't do it because you're not smart enough, or even if you're Asian, which is worse. And it's like it goes on, and it's like it's so discouraging, but I assure you that it doesn't matter because you should do it for yourself. And so if you're doing it for yourself, then I can only guarantee that's the best success that you could really have then too. So let's say, again, I think this is an example that I shared yesterday, but being patient with time and making sure that you guys are maintain that focus balance. Let's say you wanted to dance, you really love dancing, and it's one of your biggest passions, but your parents are like, I don't want you to become a dancer. I want you to pursue something else. Let's say that you also are interested in bioengineering. What if you were a bioengineer who specialized in making prosthetics for dancers with disabilities? So there's so many ways where you can combine your passion, combine your focus, and understand that over time, this is all part of the growing pains. I feel like it's all going to work out for you. I think that's all I can say.
All right, Sarah, go ahead.
So you said that from your whole presentation, you've proven a lot of people wrong from, saying, oh, you shouldn't be this or that. And so I wanted to ask, since, I've had one of those moments, what was that type of moment where I proved you wrong. See, I could do it, type of moment for you.
Got it. It's also not a battle of proving other people wrong. It was also a battle of proving myself wrong. So anyone who also has that sort of battle right now, you're definitely not alone. So I'm also a dancer, but not in the Western arts. I do Korean traditional dance. And standard-wise, as in terms of appearance, I don't really that standard. So I'm not maybe as slender. I'm not, I don't know, we kind of have to use really pale makeup, and sometimes it's really contrasting with my skin, but I don't have that kind of skin. I also know that there are times when, let's see, yeah, there were a lot of complexities around that. Whoever's a dancer here, maybe you could relate to that if you do traditional dance. But I was able to prove myself wrong because we have a mirror, right? And sometimes I really hated the mirror because I constantly had to keep comparing myself to other fellow friends in my class. And equally with that, proving other people wrong, I also got judged for how I look and my appearances as well. But what I was able to do is that recently I was able to, from I guess starting off with the point of being really insecure about how I can dance, how I looked in the mirror, if I can even pull this off, or if this even like looks right to the audience. I was able to be invited by my dance instructor to be interviewed by, I think, the Jenkins Center for a dialogue about dancers. And that in that moment, being interviewed by the Jenkins Center, I was like, ha, Terra, I proved you wrong. I knew you could dance. I thought I knew you could do it. Because like I knew that even though with all those constant comparisons going on and what people were telling me and like I don't think you're meant to dance and things like that, I was able to prove them wrong because my teacher was like, hey, meet one of my best students. So I think in that moment I felt really proud about that, and that goes to show that even one of your biggest passions, you can fight those battles, but you can continuously prove people wrong in them too.
All right, we'll have Valerie go next.
I loved your presentation, by the way. I am actually Latina, so people, when they find out that about me, people assume that my family or my parents did not have a good education or things like that. So I'm just wondering, how did you deal with when you were told things or assumed things about your race, gender, etc.?
It definitely needs to come to an understanding that you don't have to do it by yourself. I know that it seems really daunting because you kind of, let's say, like you can't always have maybe your parents by your side or someone you trust and love by your side that you can share your problems with. In those situations, like those microaggressions, even myself, like I couldn't respond back. I was just standing there, like just taking it. And sometimes I was mad at myself, like, why did you just let them say those kinds of things to you? It's really disappointing, and I didn't want to share like exactly what this person said, but they made a remark about my eyes, like, are you okay with seeing? And I was like, I can see just fine, right? But I think with those moments, if you want to, in that moment, I think short term, I would try to not respond back negatively because it just makes the situation worse. I would think that just take it in, acknowledge it, and say, this person just said something to me. But you don't have to be prompted to respond to them or try to think of something smart to say or try to put them in their place necessarily. But also have that need to stand up for yourself. You can just kindly tell them, like, I can see just fine, or I don't have an issue with that myself, but I hope that you can also maybe find happiness with yourself as well, because apparently you found the need to do that with me. But I think that there's no right or wrong answer, but as long as you are making sure that you're not caving into those negative comments, not believing them, and most importantly, having a strong support system. If you feel like you don't have that strong support system, like we're all here to help you start that today. I can also help you with that too. But make sure that you also talk to your parents about this because they may also have experiences like you did. Make sure you talk to a trusted guardian about what you're going through too, just so you guys can also come to a conclusion together. Because I can't speak for you and your family or your home situation as well. So make sure you're getting to that.
All right, Addison, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi. So thank you so much for your presentation, and also thank you for opening like the discussion about labels and things like that. I think it's been really beneficial for everyone here. So my question was, in that like over the years slide with all those pictures, how did you find like all those opportunities, like the UCLA blood thing? Like how did you find out about those and how did you get involved with them?
Got it. Okay. So I think I am sometimes in those moments I find it weird to say it like myself, but working on confidence, self-efficacy. But one of my strengths I would say is communicating. And so whether that's maybe apologizing for lack of communication sometimes, I really in ninth grade and up till now, I communicated like pretty crazily to the point where I was even wondering myself, I hope this didn't bother that other person, because I think that with one response, yes, I probably answered in 4 texts, just making sure that there was like follow-up. But what I did was I recognized what I wanted to do, which was medicine. And so I did a lot of searching. And sometimes it takes a lot of sitting down, and I assure you to not just do that. Please do other things as well. But what I did was that I found out that, through that JUMP program that happened in middle school, it was connected to the high school 4-year CTE program. So really look for those resources that are happening locally to you. And then after you master those resources, or if you feel comfortable or strong, let's say you get a leadership position and managing your own strengths to really help you get to that point, try broadening out even more. Is there something I could do? Maybe I can make my own projects that I could help people on a larger scope, maybe nationally, maybe in the state. There's people, I've also done international work as well. So it can keep spanning bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's up to you on what you can handle. And again, your strengths, your interests, your values, it all makes sense because it really plays in whatever you do. So I took those 3 really for me, and I just communicated like crazy and asked a lot of questions. And I found myself being put in charge of, as a 9th grader, to manage the school's blood drive. And trust me, I thought I had no idea what I was doing, because before that, I didn't even know that blood drives could happen at schools. But I took that ability to learn, because in addition to those strengths, interests, and values, you have to be open to learning, right? So I said, okay, I don't know everything, but let's start learning now, and let's see what we can do from there. And so that's what got me here, if that makes sense.
So it is currently 1:30. We do have to wrap up the Q&A so that we can go into our breakout rooms for discussion there. Terra, do you want to send the attendance link?
Yeah, of course. So
before we go into breakouts.
So in addition to that, before we do go into breakout rooms, if you guys wanted more information on women medical empowerment, because I couldn't keep track of the chat, here is our website.